Jai Hind everyone. My name is Dr. Anuj Kumar. I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of TIFAC and Mechanical Engineering at Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. We have started a lecture series on idea to business model. In this lecture series, we have completed 3 lectures. We have started by idea generation to the product design. In the lecture 2, we have seen new product development process, and we have completed lecture 3 on the production system. So we have understand how to generate the idea, how we are going to convert it, this abstract idea into concept, into design part. And in the last lecture, we have seen that this idea is going to be converted into a real product by selecting a suitable production system. For selection of this production system, we need to understand different types of production systems. In today's lecture, we are going to see the topic of production planning and control. That means we have understood the concepts of different type of production systems. Once we have selected that production system on the basis of our product domain, our demand and supply domain, our volume of the product, the complexity of it, we have selected a certain production system. For example, we have selected a batch production system. Now, to run that system smoothly is a different domain, and that we are going to study in this topic. So we have saw different type of production systems. Now we have to see how do we manage it efficiently. We have a standard production system, and now we have to plan it, we have to control it. Why is the purpose? Because we have to efficiently run this production system to finalize our objective to produce the product or the service. Managing the production efficiently is a different domain that we are going to study today. So what is the production planning and control? We are going to use abbreviation of PPC, which is production planning and control, throughout that lecture. So PPC basically answering what to produce, when to produce, and how much to produce. You have selected the production system. Now you have to analyze or you have to plan it. Similarly, we have seen that you have an abstract idea. Now you have to develop a concept around that, the real blueprint. Similarly, you have selected a production system, but you have to understand different aspects of production system to run it smoothly. And that is going to cover under PPC. Without PPC, the production becomes chaotic. You don't have any control over the production system or the different aspects of production system. Then you have to see the PPC. And it will ensure the right product, the right quantity at the right time and at minimum cost. So you have to optimize your production system, and you have to design it, you have to plan it, you have to control it to run it smoothly. That is the motivation behind this lecture. So what is the relevant in the idea to business model? A good product is not enough. You have to run it smoothly. That is also the part. You have to introduce that product into the market smoothly, optimize that cost, optimize that quality, and run your production system smoothly. And that is why PPC is critical for new entrepreneurs, new ideas, new business models, because they have a great idea, they understand the concept of it, they designed it carefully, but they did not know how to produce it efficiently. So production system business goals can be linked because of the delivery time, the cost, the customer satisfaction that is related to the quality of it, quality of your product or your service. So the flow again starts from design. We have come across production system, and we have to understand the production planning and control. Then only we can have a viable business idea. This is the link to idea to business model. What are the objectives? Ensure the smooth production flow. Optimize resource utilization, reduce the production time, minimize the inventory at cost, and meet the delivery deadlines. Many startups, many new ventures failed because of the discrepancy in one or many of those. They have not met the customer deadlines. They have not maintained the standard quality. They are not making the, meeting the current demand and supply. And that's why a great idea, a great potential idea can go into a vein. What are the functions? This is the important part we need to discuss today. Core functions of a production system or a PPC is, you have to decide the forecasting, what is the demand of the product. You have to understand the routing of it, the sequence of the different processes, kaise banega, how that product is come into final shape, what are the assemblies in AQI meter where the sensor fits. This kind of sequences you have to establish beforehand. You are not going to take a hit and trial method to give the sequence of the routing. In scheduling, you will give the time aspect of it, how you are going to save or optimize your time management in the production system itself. Dispatching is the actual execution, and you have to follow up or control the production system. So these core functions of PPC we are going to discuss today. First and foremost, we start with the forecasting, and it will answer the basic questions that how many units of our product should we produce. So it helps in planning the production quantity, the inventory levels, the resource allocations. In the last lecture, I have told you one term called JIT, which is relevant for lean manufacturing system, just in time. So by planning the forecasting or actually doing the forecasting, you can plan the production quantity, you can plan the inventory levels, you can ascertain your resource allocations, how much resources we needed for a particular step. Different type of forecastings are used in domains, qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative, as the name suggests, it will try to forecast the demand of the product based on the opinions, based on the suggestions from the experts. In the quantitative methods, we are going to take help from the previous data. So in the quantitative, we need historical data or the statistical methods. For example, moving average method. What is the demand in January? What is the demand in February? What is the demand in March? And we can forecast for the month of April. That is the idea. Based on the historical data, we can predict or we can ascertain the upcoming demands or the forecast the demand. That is the idea. But if there is no existing data, if you are working on a new idea, new product, you don't have any previous data of that particular product, then you can go for qualitative data, experts' opinion, market trend, Delphi techniques, which is very specific, expert opinion. You are going to meet different aspects. You need to survey them, that what could be our forecasted demand of that particular product. So we have basically two approaches, that is quantitative and qualitative. We are going to use both in the new product development. What if we skip this step? In the production planning itself, we are not going to use forecasting. What could be go wrong? We could have inventory losses. We could have missed sales. Either we overproduce or we underproduce. And both the scenarios are detrimental for our business model. That is the idea. The second step after forecasting is routing, which is determination of path or sequence of operation. That is the keyword, sequence of operation. For example, for the AQI meter, let us take the example of AQI meter, the PCB fabrication, the component mounting, the assembly, and the testing. And these steps should be predetermined, pre-selected. We are not going to use hit and trial methods that first we do assembly, first we do component mounting. There has to be a certain path that you should follow or production system should follow for a certain product. For 3D printer, you have to start with frame fabrication, component assembly, wiring, calibration itself. So based on the product or the service, you are encountering, you have to decide the route. The word is making of route. So you have to decide the sequence beforehand, and you have to define the operations which are required, the order of operations, and machine works centers to be used. You have to allocate the resources itself, the machines, the human resource. The output should be a basic process plan from A to B to C. Operation sheets, what are the operations that could be used in that particular section or that particular layout. And there has to be a workflow diagram depicting how the final product will be finalized. So this is routing. The next important part is scheduling, and it will consider the allocation of time. So in production planning, you have first decided the forecast. What is the demand of our product? Then you have decided based on the developed concept and designs that how this product should be finalized. What are the sequence of the operations? In the third step, which is known as scheduling, you are going to incorporate the time aspect into it. What is the start time of operation? What is the end time of operation? What is the duration of each activity? Two terms you have already seen or we will discuss in project management, PERT and CPM. And you have seen different type of diagrams where time, optimistic time, pessimistic time, most likely time, or different type of times are given to certain activities. So this is the exercise where we need to ascertain the time amount of that operation or that activity. Different type of schedulings, forward scheduling, backward schedulings, depending upon different aspects of product we can utilize. This is the idea. The objective should be minimize the idle time and ensure the timely delivery. And it is one of the major reason of failures of new startups, because they cannot meet the deadlines of the customer. They have a good idea, they have a good concept, but they did not know or they did not manage the production system efficiently because of all these systematic steps. You have to forecast first, you have to give the routing to the production system, you have to schedule your operations in a timely manner. If a IQ meter must be delivered in 5 days, we schedule backwards. If the time bound activities a customer needs this much of order, then you have to schedule it backwards, that we have 5 days and we do in the backward tracing. So this is a case study or example you can take. After forecasting, routing and scheduling, the actual execution will start from dispatching, and this is a execution phase, and we need to assign tasks to the human resources, providing materials and tools, and start operations. So before dispatching, you have planned everything. You have predicted the demand, you have given the sequence of orders, you have given the time aspect of it. Now you have all the ingredients for the recipe, and in this part, dispatching, you start the actual work, you execute your plan. For examples, assemble 50 AQI units today. That is the dispatching. You have dispatched the order. Now, as per this can be done with the forecasting, routing and scheduling. These all are inbuilt in this. You have a demand, you have forecasted something, you have planned your production system based on it, and you have to schedule or you have to make the time aspect based on this unit. So this is the actual execution of the process. Without proper dispatching, even the best plan fails. So you have the plan, you have the forecast, you have the route, and you have the schedule of it. But if the execution does not start on time, you will fail as a business model. The last and important part of this production planning and control is follow-up or control. You have planned your production system, you have executed the process. Now you have to follow up or you have to control your running production system. You have to monitor, and the monitor means continuous monitoring. It will ensure progress as planned, delays are identified early, and then you can rectify them, because you have a route, you have schedule, and if any discrepancy came, you can retrofit it, you can improve it accordingly. So you have to, on every stage, you have to compare actual versus planned progress. You have divided your shifts and you ascertain that in the first shift we will produce 5 AQI meters. By the end of it, you only have 4. So you have to compare the actual and planned progress. You have to identify the bottlenecks, that yes, a drilling machine or a PCB manufacturing unit is not producing the actual products they are supposed to deliver. Then you have to take corrective actions. So in the whole, if you see, starting from forecasting to the routing to the scheduling or to the follow-up control, you have to be on edges to plan your production system efficiently. If delivery is delayed, you have to ascertain or you have to manage the resources, the materials, the manpower to meet the customer demand. And this step will keep the production on track. That is important for any production system. Again, we see the case study, AQI meter. It has a simple routing, fewer steps, short scheduling cycles, low coordination complexity, and faster production can be achieved with this idea system. You can have a better control over the production system as well. But for the case of 3D printer, which is a complex part, the routing should be complex. Longer scheduling cycles are there. High coordinations are required because there are several domains, several systems, whether it is mechanical system, electronic system, IoTs. So you have to coordinate with different members. And comparatively, the production could be slower as compared to AQI. This case study means that your idea will dictate your concept, your design, your production system, and as well as the planning of that production system. So everything depends on the selection of your idea, selection of your product, selection of your service. What are the challenges? Limited capital and resources. You don't have the resources that are required, or you did not plan for that kind of resources. Uncertain demand, which is a result of your poor forecasting that you have done, or there could be several external factors as well. Suppliers and supplier logistics chains delays. This is a challenge. Lack of skilled manpower, frequent design change as per the customer needs. That means in a development stage of product, if you have mistaken in any stage, starting from idea to concept to design to production selection, this will be reflected in your PPC or production planning and control. That is why the complete process of product development, which is a systematic process, is essential. You cannot just start the production system, or you cannot plan, or you cannot control the production system itself. It will affect the cost efficiency, the delivery reliability, and the product quality. It will directly have an impact on customer satisfaction and the profitability, which in terms decide the fortune of your product or your idea or your business model. So in summary, we can say that PPC manage production activities. These are the core pillars of PPC, and forecasting support the planning decisions and critical for startups and industry success. Again, if you have selected a wrong design, a wrong production system, you have not assessed your ideas very well, these all uncertainties will be reflected back into the production system. Thank you.